Oh, to the surprise of no one, Donald Trump is dragging Nancy Pelosi again on Twitter. Is he? I think it's on Twitter. Whatever. He went, yes, he did. Of course. Of course, the president is tweeting at Nancy Pelosi. But I kind of agree with the sentiment. Nancy Pelosi was showing off all her fancy ice creams. And then everybody started saying, let them eat cake, because Nancy Pelosi won't increase the small business loan fund so that people can keep their jobs. Let them eat cake indeed. The Hill reports Trump attacks Pelosi as political hack over late show appearance. President Trump went after Speaker Pelosi in a tweet late Friday, attacking the Democratic leader as an incompetent political hack after calling on her to return to Washington as lawmakers wrestle over another coronavirus relief bill. Trump shared a tweet criticizing Pelosi over her appearance on The Late Show with James Corden earlier this week. In the clip, Pelosi shows off a stockpile of ice cream packed in her kitchen freezer in San Francisco, noting this is something you can get through the mail. An incompetent political hack. Come back to Washington and take care of our great American workers, Trump tweeted. And it was actually a Charlie Kirk tweet. He said, Nancy Pelosi sits in her $7.5 million San Francisco home in front of her $24,000 fridges, plural, bragging about her stockpile of $13 a pint gourmet ice cream. All while 22 million Americans file for unemployment and funding for small business runs dry. Shameful. Yes, absolutely shameful. I've got some criticisms for Charlie Kirk, always tweeting with the weird face going like this and saying, let that sink in, all that stuff. But he's spot on right now. And when you're right, you're right. Nancy Pelosi should not be flaunting her wealth and laughing, haha, on late night TV shows, eating her ice cream. It doesn't look, it's not a good look. I don't know if she cares. Fine, whatever. Her constituents don't care. They hate Trump no matter what. So what's the point? A Pelosi spokesman fired back on Saturday, calling on Trump to focus on the pandemic. That's literally what he just told Nancy Pelosi to do. So what is the response from Pelosi? I know you are, but what am I? Come on, please. Instead of trying to distract and divide, the president should focus on the public health crisis in front of him. As the speaker wrote to her colleagues last week, the truth is a weak person, a poor leader, takes no responsibility. A weak person blames others. Pelosi spokesman Drew Hamill told The Hill, pot, meat, kettle. Also, glass houses throwing stones. You get it? Nancy Pelosi is on this late night show eating ice cream when she could be back in D.C. getting this funding pushed through. And instead, she complains about what Trump is doing. And her complaint is that Trump is complaining about what she is doing. You know what? They all deserve each other. But I got to be fair, man. Donald Trump isn't Congress. He can't snap his fingers and make this budget increase go through. So you can see why I have disdain for these Democrats. Let them eat cake. Take a look at this tweet. I love this. I tweeted this out. Apparently people like it. Nancy Pelosi tweeted, we all have our ways to keep our spirits up during these trying times. Mine just happens to fill up my freezer. Ha 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 ha. And then she has this ice cream. She has Dove ice cream. She's got this is gelato. Ooh, it's fancy. Okay, they're not really that expensive. I don't know what this Jenny's stuff is. I don't know if it's that expensive. But here's how I responded. I love this comic. This comic is from Off Key Comics. I'm not super familiar. In the first panel, there is a woman sitting in her pool with a big fountain behind her and hedges. We're all in this together, guys. The next one is a guy in a boat, and he says, I'm social distancing on my yacht. Then we have a guy who's in a sparkling, massive kitchen with a huge spiral staircase. Stay home and learn a new skill. The next one, it is a woman in a blanket on the floor with garbage everywhere and an open can of what appears to be beans in her squalor. And she says, they're just like me. Yeah. Is that what we're supposed to feel, Nancy? When we see you in your mansion eating your fancy ice cream while others line up at food banks? Let them eat cake indeed. Is this what you're going to say to the 22 million people who don't know how they're going to buy food? The lines are getting longer. And when the food runs out, the revolutions begin. I'm not making that up. It is, well, it's disputed, within varying degrees, but many experts believe that when food becomes scarce, revolutions begin. Nancy Pelosi could go make sure, she could have voted on this weeks ago, and there would still be money for the businesses to apply for grants so they can pay their staff. The companies that can't do this because the money runs out, they're now going to lay off their staff. So I appreciate it. The people who are going hungry will be absolutely comforted in knowing that you have multiple flavors of ice cream in your very expensive freezer in your multi-million-dollar mansion. I'm sure when they're sitting there grumbling, they're going to do what this comic young woman does and laugh and say, wow, just like me. Or their stomach will grumble and they'll say, I need food, and I'm going to go get it. Well, of course, I think the criticism is apt. The Hill says the president's tweet echoed criticism he leveled at the Democratic leader earlier Friday during a White House coronavirus briefing when he accused Pelosi of not doing her job and called on her to come back to Washington to hammer out a deal. The president has blamed Democrats for a stalemate over a deal for new funds aimed at helping small businesses impacted by the coronavirus outbreak. I think the Democrats are going to do it. Look, Nancy Pelosi, she's away on vacation or something, and she should come back, Trump said at the briefing Friday. She should come back and get this done. I don't know why she's not coming back. The fact is, she's not doing her job, and there's nothing unusual about that for her. For anybody in Congress, man, there's only a couple people I like in the Senate and the House, all right? I don't care what their party is. There's a couple people I like. Tulsi, I like Dan Crenshaw, I like Rand Paul. I'm sure actually, Tom Cotton gets a shout out because he was right about this from the get-go, the coronavirus stuff, so major shout out to Tom Cotton. The small business loan program ran out of funds on Thursday without a deal for additional money. In the implementation, there is need for more money. We subscribe to that. We want to have more money for small business. We believe in that. The entrepreneurial spirit of America is so important, Pelosi said during an interview on MSNBC on Friday night. But it is also important to have funds for those on the front lines, the healthcare workers, the police and fire, EMS folks, and those who really need help as they try to save lives. So we're hoping that we can come to an agreement. So wait a minute. The Republicans said, can we get more money from this bill? So we have this bill for small business. Can you add money to that? And they said, what about the fire department? Well, okay, let's have that conversation. But for now, can we increase the funding to the small businesses? Well, what about women and minorities? Those are actually the provisions they wanted put in. It makes no sense. So actually, I'm going to give another shout out. Matt Gaetz is pretty cool, too. I think Dan Crenshaw is like my top pick in Congress because he seems like a really all right dude. And then Rand Paul. But those are my shout outs. I get it. They're Republicans. But, I think something fascinating is happening where we've seen all these retirements from these old guard Republicans who don't want to be involved anymore. And good, get rid of them. Bring on the principled, liberty-minded individuals. Libertarian. I don't mean right-wing libertarian. I just mean like general liberty-minded. You want to protect the rights of people. You want to fight for what they need. Bring them in. Vote them all in. I don't care what their political party is. And to varying degrees, I disagree with Dan Crenshaw on a ton of things, but I think he's honest about what he's trying to do. And that's the most important thing. I'm not the expert on a lot of these issues. I have my opinions. So there are a couple people I really like. Noting Tulsi Gabbard's on the way out. She's not running again. So she dropped out. I don't know what her plan is. Trump maintained during the briefing Friday that even the small business loan program was running flawlessly, despite reports of glitches and other issues affecting the rollout earlier this month. And he indicated he believes $250 billion would be enough for the program. It's going to get us to a point that's going to be rather beautiful. Well, it would have, because look, we're now hearing the governors want to start reopening things. Sounds like a good idea. I'm not the expert, but I'll take their word for it. Trump certainly wants to. He's released his guidelines for reopening everything. It really does feel like we're going to get back to normal, and I'm kind of excited for it. So right now, as small businesses are without funding, and they're going to have to start laying people off, we're nearing the end of the tunnel. We can see the light. If they had just approved this, we'd be kicking back and saying, well, that was awful, but we are coming to the end of that tunnel and we got the funds we need. Right now, we're struggling and we might break down before we even make it out. That would be nightmarish. 22 million people out of work and in need of food. And we got to figure out what we're going to do to get them the food they need. There's some conversation about maybe the government buying food from farmers and then sending it to food banks, but that doesn't account for the food that has to be processed. So what? Maybe, I guess, like raw carrots and vegetables might make it. In the end, people need to work. It's not even just about whether or not we're going to get them the food they need. It's about stopping the collapse. Let's say no matter what happens, we come out of this. Well, businesses will go under permanently. It's not like they can just snap their fingers and come back. Bills pile up, rent piles up. What are you going to do? Everyone's going to be hurting. How about you get off your ice cream high horse and you go and pass this bill? Well, whatever. I doubt they will. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told the Wall Street Journal on Friday that he would support additional funding for hospitals in a package aimed at helping small businesses, saying he discussed the potential pairing with Trump at the White House on Thursday. During her appearance on the Late Late Show, Pelosi noted she had been in conversation all day with my members, with scientists, with people of faith. All right. Listen to this. The Republicans are caving in. Okay, fine. We'll fund your hospitals in the small business loan program package. That makes no sense, but they're going to do it anyway. Will Nancy Pelosi head out and go get the job done? I don't know. So Marco Rubio says, so I hear Speaker Pelosi really likes ice cream. Here's what I am willing to do if she will stop holding aid for small business hostage. Ted Cruz says, I'll throw in chunky soup she can eat. Are they offering up their food? If they agree and the Republicans are going to cave and give them what they want, why am I even recording this? Why are we having this conversation? Why is this the issue? I think it's because the Democrats just want to obstruct. It doesn't make sense that someone would be like, would you like to fund small business? What about hospitals? Okay, fine. What about minorities? You're clearly not trying to fund what they're asking for. It seems like the true goal of the Democrats is just to block this. Maybe they want the unemployment numbers to go up because it's bad for Trump. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.